What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Taps Week 13 DFS episode. As always, we've got our guy Hugh here with us today. It's getting kind of close to the end of the season for any of you regular season guys. I guess we've only got about 5 more weeks of DFS before those weird tournament games that come out around that time, around the playoffs.
That's when I really love it, because you follow and you break down, and people that are out of daily, that don't play daily fantasy and get into daily fantasy at that point in time, it's a lot more fish that I get to take money from.
Little shark out there, huh? Swimming in the water.
Try.
You try to be there. All right. So this week we do have a lot of injured starting running backs. We've got Mike Glennon getting the start against Miami this week. It's looking like a pretty interesting one. Divisional week and a lot of matchups here. So let's start out with the quarterback. One of my favorite plays of the week right now, especially at the high end. I'm really liking Tom Brady against Atlanta. We obviously got the news earlier on this week that it will be suspended for 3 weeks due to falsifying some documentations, being a very crafty man. So outside of, guys like Brady, where you can get that stack with Godwin or Mike Evans, or possibly both if you want to be that risky, where else are you looking at the quarterback position?
So I think this week in cash games, you're really going to look high for Lamar and Brady. I kind of like Stafford in that situation too. But I think that the leading two are just going to be Lamar and Brady up there at that position. Lamar's he's just been running at a pace, somewhat similar to his MVP season, and he's now, passing. So we did see a down game from him last week. I don't think people are going to want to pay up for him. So I think it's a really good week to play him. As well as Brady had a down week last week and now has Atlanta this week and has been pretty open for their defense. So, I like both of them. I just think Stafford, with Henderson not being right and being limited in practice today, Sony Michel's definitely not going to be used as a workhorse back, but Stafford is going to just throw to Cup, and it's just if no one's going to play him, I'm seeing Stafford right now, and for tournaments 3%. If no one's going to play Stafford, give me Stafford then, because we were playing him at massive amount ownership this year, and Lamar is 10%, and you got Brady at 14. Give me Stafford at 3 all day.
All right. And what about those roster saving guys? If you want to keep that cheap salary going, any of these cheaper quarterbacks that are catching your eye?
Yeah. So cheaper quarterbacks, I think Taylor Heineke's really good at 5,600. I'm seeing him as only 9% owned, rostered right now, kind of major tournaments. He's got a ceiling just due to the fact that he rushes. I think everybody else kind of around there, I don't really want to touch. But if you really want to get down and save the roster spot, Mike Glennon at 4K, really good. You can fit a lot with that. I don't think you're going to get a lot from Glennon coming against that hot Miami defense.
Yeah, they've been on a tear lately. And it's being a Dolphins fan, it's nice to actually have a little bit of respect finally. Hesitant to play him, but that roster savings is absolutely incredible. Fits in with the cheapest quarterback grouping, the absolute bottom of the barrel, 4K. I personally like, and you're not saving nearly as much as you are when you go Glennon, but someone that's a little bit on the cheaper side. I guess he's really not cheaper. He's more of a middle of the pack guy. But Derek Carr this week, going against Washington, I think is going to be a very solid play. Washington's been, pretty terrible on defense these past 3 or 4 weeks lately. And I do think that Derek Carr has been able to keep up a good offense. But he's at 6K. I thought he was a little bit lower. So I guess
if you're gonna play Derek Carr, you're playing the league leader in passing yards right now, if I'm not mistaken, at 6K.
Hey.
Why not? It's worth a shot in tournaments.
Why not? All right. Let's jump over to the running backs. We have amazing matchups for almost every single one of the top end running backs that are actually playing this week. And then you got guys like Dalvin Cook, DeAndre Swift, And obviously Christian McCaffrey not playing this week. No Aaron Jones with the Packers being on bye. So there are a lot of options out there outside of the standard people you would look to.
Yeah, so these upper tier guys, like have really good matchups. I think if you really want to like differentiate yourself with these guys, like because I'm looking at Jonathan Taylor 22%, Joe Mixon 13%, Alexander Madison 20, Leonard Fournette 18, Eli Mitchell 27, James Conner 25, Antonio Gibson 29% ownership. Like these guys are going to get a lot of ownership. I think this week, like you might have to find which chalk you're willing to swallow and then go at a different way with somebody else. Like Austin Eckler against Cincinnati. Cincinnati is not that good of a rushing defense, and I think Eckler at 6.6%. Like that's something that I would rather get off of. Say a Alexander Madison at Detroit. For 20%, because we like Madison when he's priced cheap, but when he's priced up at 7,600, you're almost expecting one of those games where he's getting 20 to 30 points. So I don't want to play Madison at that.
Yeah, that price, you're essentially looking for a great Dalvin Cook day and not just expecting that you're paying for it. So you need that to get your value out of it. What about some of the cheaper guys? I think you mentioned one of them that I was going to bring up, in Antonio Gibson. Does Jamal Williams interest you at all in this?
Yeah, so I think that's some of the ways you can get different. Jamal Williams. I again, he's one of those guys. He's a big name. He's going to draw ownership, but like guys that are right around him. If Miles Sanders is going to play, I'd rather pay down for Miles Sanders because he's going against the Jets and he's 5,200 versus Jamal's 54. Antonio Gibson he's gonna have a workhorse role against Las Vegas, and he's got nearly 30% ownership from what I'm seeing right now. To be honest, I would rather have Josh Jacobs at 13% than in a tournament. These are tournament plays that I'm talking about here, because in cash, I think this week you really have to figure out what chalk you really want to swallow, and then get different at your wide receivers and tight end.
Can I ask you a question about how do you feel about Miles Sanders this week in a if you're used to build your roster with a good matchup, 5,200 right now, you're not using him to build your stack or build your game perception. Do you see him going against the New York Jets this week as a good play in DFS?
Yeah, I think if you can choose the running back that's gonna garner all the carries, like Boston Scott last week looked really good. I mean, Miles Sanders came at he came in a pretty high ownership, and he really kind of laid an egg. Scott got most of the work anyways. I mean, Sanders did get hurt, so I mean, if it's another one of those weeks, Scott looks really good in that situation. But I like the running back position against New York this week.
Yeah, I like it again any week. Always a great play there. All right, let's jump over to the receivers. Before we get into it, is there anyone that automatically you are throwing on your rosters this week that is the guy that you're taking a shot on every time you got the value in the budget for him? Not a single person in particular. Wow.
No, I just there's some guys that are like screaming plays for me in tournaments this week. I really think it's a really good week for tournaments. I think cash, you're gonna have a hard time because there's gonna be so many plays that people want to play, and it's just gonna be kind of difficult. But like last week, Justin Jefferson was nearly 20% owned, and this week he's projecting it being 8% owned. And Justin Jefferson is pretty much the same as he was last week. Guys like Adam Thielen was pretty well owned last week at 10%. Now he's getting paid at 4.8%. I'd want to play him. This one's going to be a little bit gross, but for tournaments, I like DK Metcalf at $7,600. He's going to be 4% owned. Like squeaky wheel narrative. Like you're going to have to. I love this slate for tournaments because there's just going to be so many eyes on so many different people that you're going to be able to get different and play contrarian. And if you find that contrarian matchup and you find your stack, you're gonna do really well this week. So, but I think if you gun to head and there's a guy that I want on my team, I think it's going to be Keenan Allen. He is definitely producing at his old self. 2018 Keenan Allen. He's getting the targets. He's getting everything. Mike Williams is kind of fallen off a cliff here as of late. So I think Herbert is finding it more comfortable to throw to Allen. So I think Keenan Allen is my guy, and he's only 10%.
Yeah. I think that's going to be a really good one. What about some of the cheaper guys, if you got any? I mentioned that I like Derek Carr, and so I've kind of been looking at Hunter Renfrow a lot this week in some of the lineups that I've built. I
think with Hunter Renfrow with Darren Waller out, he's a good play. He's up close to 25% ownership. I think just the he's getting name value in regular fantasy, and he's the guy, to be honest, against Washington this week. With Waller not being able to play. So there's just I think in a situation where you're playing in cash, I think I would like to play Renfrow, but I think again this week I really want to get away from these guys that are 25% ownership in tournaments.
Okay. I don't have the ownership percentage. What is Brandon Aiyuk projected?
So Brandon Aiyuk right now, he is 19.2% owned, and he's 5,600. He's somebody I'd be willing to play in cash and in GPPs, because I think his might be a false ceiling, false ceiling on his ownership. Like I don't think it's going to get to 19.2, to be honest.
That's fair.
People are just going to see what happened in the last game. They might go with, Kittle really didn't get much work. Jimmy G's going to spread the ball around, and Elijah Mitchell's just going to run, and they're going to run with that. And so I think this is somebody that you can play and won't get steamed up to over 25%.
All right. And then one more player I'm interested for your take on. I've got Josh Reynolds here. If I was trying to do a Minnesota stack with a bring back, Josh Reynolds, a receiver from Detroit, Minnesota's 32nd in points per game allowed for the receiver on DraftKings. Again, I don't have his ownership percentage, so I'm not sure if he falls into that 25% category that you're looking to stay against.
No, he's under 15% ownership right now, and he's $3,400. So he'd be somebody that would be a pretty good, cash and tournament play if you want to put him into your lineup. I'm just worried that we saw one drive where Jared Goff, it was the first drive of the game, and I'm just wondering how much of that was just a scripted script for Goff.
Yeah.
And after that was nothing, because after that, I mean, Goff was just absolutely horrible and couldn't get anything going. But, I think if you want to write the narrative, he's comfortable throwing to Reynolds. They were, shower buddies in LA. I think that's something you can hang your hat on there, and I think there's some worth and something behind there if you want to play him. So I like that play.
All right. Let's get into our last position before we jump into defenses, the tight end, everyone's favorite. You mentioned earlier, Darren Waller more than likely out, currently listed as doubtful, leaving us really just Mark Andrews, Kittle, Pitts, Ertz, Gronk, Hawkinson, Gesicki at the high-end tight ends. But out of all of those, I'm not really comfortable playing most of these quote-unquote high-end tight ends this week, and then especially when we get into the value aspect of what they're going to cost me. I mean, Mark Andrews possibly the only one that's getting consistent work every week. At that point, I mean, going up against Pittsburgh this week is kind of a little scary for me.
I'm just all over Gronkowski again. Like, give me Gronkowski. Oh, he's projected for being under 10% ownership. after what he's done the last couple of weeks, this guy should be over 6K, and he's 5,300. So I would be paying. I'm going to be paying up for tight end at this week, and I'm be paying differently to try and get him and be different. Like he hasn't scored a touchdown since he's been back from his injury. If I'm trying to remember or not, he may have scored one, but before he left, he had like two touchdown games, and we haven't seen his full potential ceiling. And you're buying him at 5,300 at under 10%. So he's a great play this week. I think Mark Andrews is another good play this week. He's only projected for under 5% ownership at 6K. He is Lamar Jackson's safety blanket. So Pittsburgh's defense is kind of banged up, and they've been letting guys through. We saw what happened with Pittsburgh against the Bengals. So you catch that game on a hot streak instead of one of those AFC North slogs. You're gonna get points out of Andrews. So I like that for him there too. Again, we mentioned Kittle. With Debo gone, he's gotten a little spike in ownership. He's the highest I'm seeing being owned right now on the top tier guys. And this is what I'm going to be doing for tournament plays is playing these paying up for tight end. Kittle's 11%. I could see him getting some more pass volume with Debo being out, but the guy that everybody's going to be playing for this week is in cash is Foster Moreau at 2,700. I mean, the guy's projecting for almost 40% ownership right now.
Yeah. I mean, I get your value pick there. I'm not really hot onto that one. Realistically, if I'm not going Gronkowski, if I'm not going Andrews, I'm more than likely leaning on Pat Freiermuth this week. Going against Baltimore, 5,200. No Eric Ebron. Ebron's going to be on IR.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
And then someone else that I was looking at is Logan Thomas, going against Las Vegas, another 4K guy, nice and cheap for you.
I think Logan Thomas should be more than 4K. If not, a lot of people are going to remember that he was limited in snaps this week, last week, and he came off, and he had the game, that touchdown that was taken away against Seattle right there. It looked like it was a damn touchdown to me, but of course, whatever. What do I know? I'm just
some guy watching from home.
I'm just some guy watching from home, right? But everybody else looked exactly and said, "Hey, it looks like a touchdown." And but his stat line would have been way better if they had caught that. If he had caught that, and I think his price would have gone. Well, no, sorry, it was a Monday night game, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway. But I think people are forgetting that, and people that are making lineups at 11 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, and they're on the toilet doing this, they're gonna be like, oh, they're gonna pass right over Logan Thomas. He just came off an injury, he's not playing well. Like, he could have had a lot better day with that touchdown. So I really like Logan Thomas at 4K. I think he's underpriced for what he can offer.
Yeah, I mean, you saw it early on in the season. The first 3 games, he was averaging just about 11 points per game. And last week mirrored his stat line. If you take away, I mean, he had more targets last week than he did in week 1. Just didn't get that touchdown. And like you're saying, if that play would have been ruled touchdown, he more than likely would be the highest played tight end this week at 4K, putting up a 20-point game the week before.
Yeah,
so I'm actually kind of happy that they took that away from him, because now I get to play him this week.
Yeah, and in cash, I mean, so Foster Moreau is 2,700, and he's 35% projected ownership right now. If you want to even get a little bit more disgusting, you can go down to James O'Shaughnessy. He's now back, and he is he took the position right there again from where he left and he took off. He is 2,600, but he's only 10%. So if you want to get away from Moreau at the high ownership in tournaments, you can go down to O'Shaughnessy. And then there's one more down here in the dumpsters that I'm looking at. Where did he go? Brevin Jordan
Okay.
of Houston against Indianapolis. He's 2,500. He's a stone min, but he's been looking decent as of late.
Yeah, it seems like the past two games or last week against the Jets, he had a nice game, was able to get the touchdown, was able to score a touchdown against the Rams. This week, you're going up against Indianapolis. I think he's a nice little dart throw to try to save yourself a few bucks there if you can get him.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm not against it. All right, let's go through the defenses before we make our lineup for the this is going to be the 10K MVP challenge presented by Visa. Shout out Visa. So defenses this week, just like every other team or every other position, it looks like the better matchups are very expensive for us this week.
Yeah, so like always, Eagles really good. They should probably have been the first. They should have been over the Rams, but again, Rams, Colts, Eagles, all really good in takeaways this season. Tampa Bay is also good. Another one that's pretty cheap that's down there is the Cardinals against Chicago. And then Dolphins against the Giants with Daniel Jones out. Their offense or their defense has been playing lights out recently, so I like that one.
Absolutely.
And then if you really want to get down there, you can play the Raiders against Houston. So you can play the Raiders against Houston. Taylor Heineke has been giving up turnovers, so I like that one too. But I think if you want to play the bottom of the barrel, I mean, I don't really see a point to doing it this week, unless you're running a situation in your head where the Jaguars come out and absolutely, stuff LA. So if you want to play the bottom of the barrel.
All right. Yeah, no, I really like the Dolphins defense this week. You're looking at a team that's put up like 16 sacks over the past 4 weeks. We've gotten, I believe it's 10 turnovers in the past 4 weeks. They've been on fire, and that's against some really good offenses and some really bad offenses. So it seems like they can cover whatever they're up against. And especially if they keep on this trend here, and then price down pretty far down there at 3,300, I think is really fair. And then, like you said, some of these teams, especially like the Buccaneers secondary versus Atlanta this week, they're going to be in a situation where Atlanta's going to be throwing the ball a lot, trying to keep up with it, and it's going to lead Matt Ryan a lot of opportunity to throw some interceptions, make some mistakes.
It's just defense is just such a high variance position. Like, it's really just a guess. Like, who knew that 1 week the Bengals were going to be the highest scoring defense against Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
You just got to pick one. I think one that I really like is kind of in the middle, not very super expensive, pretty cheap, but Seattle just can't. They have no offense. They've been running the fewest amount of offensive plays in the entire league, and if you're running the fewest amount of offensive plays, you're not going to be scoring that much. So I like the 49ers at 3K. You're not paying all the way up and ruining your budget. So they're $1,000 cheaper than the Rams, but they can produce just like the Rams are going to.
Okay. All right. Well, let's jump in and help these guys. Let's show them a roster that we're going to make together here. And like I said, if you guys want to be in on this one, it is going to be the 10K MVP challenge presented by Visa. All right. So let's start off with, you want to go quarterback?
Sure. What are you leaning this week?
Let's talk strategy really fast. Let's let these people into our brains. Let's target. Are we going? This is a tournament style, I believe, even though it's a single game play.
Mm-hmm.
No. Okay. So I think that we're looking for high upside, big game, like always. The quarterback, unless we have a great stack, I don't want to spend up for him. But if we want to spend up, I like Brady. We could stack with Godwin or Evans, I believe, and be pretty solid there, or even stack with Gronkowski. I like Herbert, Keenan Allen.
What about this?
I'm listening.
Let's go Taylor Heineke and what's his name?
Terry McLaurin.
Terry McLaurin. Yeah, because that's going to be a super low owned stack, and I think you're going to be able to get points out of that because you're being contrarian against Antonio Gibson's 30% ownership.
Okay, would that lead us to throw in Logan Thomas into this as well, or are we going? We're gonna have money for Gronkowski if we stick with this. So
I think we throw in Gronk,
all right.
and then I think we play Gronk naked.
Yeah.
Running backs. Let's kind of wait and see how we're playing this out. Wide receivers. Let's play Brandon Aiyuk.
Okay. Still have a decent. We can pay about $6K per player almost right now. Once we put the defense in.
Let's put the defense in. Let's pick the 49ers.
Okay.
Sorry if you hear my kids in the background.
It's okay.
Let's see. What are we at for remaining? 57?
57.75 a piece.
Let's try. I'm thinking cheaper wide receivers. Like, let's play
we could play Renfro since we're playing McLaurin and Heineke.
Why not? Let's play Josh Reynolds.
Josh Reynolds. Oh, we're down there. I like it. Okay, we're back up. Now we're up to 6,500 per player.
Okay.
So we've got some stacks here. What are we looking at? Got 2 running backs and a flex remaining.
Throw in Boston Scott for the flex.
Boston Scott, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we gotta do him later. It's not letting me just throw him into straight flex.
Okay. Let's throw Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor and we go Eckler, we would have 2,500, so we can't do that.
Let's go.
Scott is 46. So we've got
throw Boston Scott in right now. Let's see what we got with him.
5,900.
5,900 in the flex. So who are we looking at?
Looking at
Connor, Kittle,
Gaskin, Renfro, Pittman, Mike Williams, Gibson.
We could just go full on onslaught there against the Raiders. But
I mean, we can get pretty solid value out of Jamal Williams. I know he's going to be high ownership.
Let's go Connor.
James Conner.
Yeah.
All right, and that's our whole value. That's our whole bundle there. All righty, let's throw this baby in there. It's entered. We're in. We've got a good-looking group of guys here. I like that they do the selfies.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you again for tuning in. Let's hope me and Hugh here can get some money going. 39 hours till kickoff. Let's get that pocket change in there. That 10K from Visa. We win. We share it with everyone that likes and shares. Likes the video, DMs us. $10 a piece. So make sure you guys are paying attention.
There you go.
All right. Thank you so much. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, like the video, hit the bell icon, and join the Discord that's going to be linked down below. And then again, we will be doing a short live stream on Sunday from Miami. So make sure you guys can tune into that. And as always, Hugh will be in the DFS, possibly peeking in, answering some DFS or in the Discord, answering some DFS questions as kickoff gets closer. Sorry for the stuttering there. Having a little bit of issues here. Ready for the week to end. Happy Friday to everyone. You should be watching this on Saturdays. So enjoy your weekends. We'll see you guys later.